how precious it is,
right,
and how what we do have today really matters. And your little boy is okay, and all the little children that are okay. The girl holding the teddy bear.
Yes,
It
it puts a lot of things in perspective too. And again, we're going to get the perspective from the governor very shortly too. We are awaiting that press conference again. We understand she's going to do a little bit of a tour of the damage done at that fire station. She's going to take a look around, and then we will hear remarks from the governor shortly. Again, that is scheduled to begin at 10 o'clock. It is now 10 o'clock on the nose, so it has not begun just yet, but as soon as it does, we will show you that. And again, hear from the governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
She has declared a state of emergency for Arkansas. We have more video we can show you. There's so much to show. This is the Roller Funeral Home off Chenal Parkway.
Not far from that Target.
Exactly. So yes, Chenal and the nearby neighborhood, one of the first places that was hit in West Little Rock before the storm began heading toward I-430 and Rodney Parham, eventually crossing the river, as we know.
A lot of traffic too, as we expect. Golly, Karen, everybody's going home or from work, from school. That area is so packed on the time of that storm when it arrived too. I'm just so grateful. Again, you never want to hear deaths in these situations. And as a reminder, in case you haven't heard, there were 2 additional deaths that were reported out of Wynn this morning. So the total now is 4 deaths out of Wynn, 1 out of North Little Rock. So 5 total deaths, which is 5 too many that we want to hear in the state of Arkansas. But you see this devastation and you see this destruction, and it does come to mind, how in the world was there not more?
Exactly, and that is a perfect question, and our hearts go out to all the people who are maybe hurt or even casualties that have not yet been discovered. But we again have more video to show you because there is so much.
Now again, this is video from Wynn in Cross County. Sadly, as we have reported, 4 people have lost their lives because of this storm. Now, no other details have been released about those victims. The deadly twister leveled houses. It destroyed the Wynn High School and several businesses. You can probably find those photos and videos of the Wynn football field, the turf ripped off, the high school. It is going to take some time to recover the Wynn High School and, of course, the athletic facilities there. It is such a prideful town, an amazing area and community that takes a lot of pride in where they're from.
Sure, and you would know, you've covered sports, you've been up that
Covered
way.
a lot of Wynn
Sure.
Yellow Jacket football, I have. And I just hope those folks are doing okay today. I hope that they are able to at least clean up a little bit in the good weather we will have today and tomorrow, but I know it's going to be a long recovery.
And in Wynn, by the way, folks, if you know someone there who without power, pass along that there is a city curfew.
Sure.
We understand it lifted around 6 a.m. this morning.
Lifted at 6, yep.
But we'll be back tonight, we think.
And again, too, you probably know somebody, you have a friend, a family member in the town of Wynn, but don't go there unless you have been specifically asked to be in the town of Wynn. Reach out to your friends and family, of course, over in eastern Arkansas, but authorities are asking, please, if you haven't been asked to come to the town, don't do so. As we await the governor's press conference, folks, you are looking at new drone footage that is just into the THV 11 newsroom. This is different drone footage from what we showed you earlier in our show, since we've been on around 6 a.m. this morning. Special edition of Wake Up Central on this Saturday. This is new video from Shackelford Road showing you, isn't it interesting, Hayden, how you can sort of see through the trees? The trees just snapped. That's what is really amazing to me. Is I think of that drive all the time. I know you're there quite a bit. A lot of our friends are there quite a bit. You just drive by and you don't think anything of it too. You don't think you'll see flat trees. Every time you go by there from now on, all I'm going to be reminded of is these images you're seeing right here. And and you brought up a good point earlier. People in this storm will think, where was I when? This will go down as another in Arkansas's history of historic and sadly deadly tornado activities. It's amazing too how many Arkansans can relate to those conversations where it is 97, 99, 14. Even go back to 76. 76. Tom talks about that Cabot tornado, you know, so much and how he remembers it so vividly. I just wonder how many kids around this area will vividly remember where they were on March 31st, 2023. Good point. And in Little Rock, too, people are waking up and realizing that they need help from the storms that plowed through. Michaela Johnson has been out at the Calvary Baptist Church this morning. People are hard at work helping those who have been displaced by the storms. Take a look.
Yeah, we're here at Calvary Baptist Church, where they're serving as a shelter for those who were displaced after that tornado tore through central Arkansas, leaving tons of people without a place to sleep at night. As you can see, there are cots filled out throughout this room, people coming in overnight. We learned that there are 4 people who came in. They opened about 6 p.m. after that storm came through around 2, and they are here to help the community 24 hours a day until that need is no longer here.
We offer the shelter here at Calvary Baptist Church that includes somewhere to sleep, opportunity to shower, toiletries, snacks, and even a meal for breakfast. Just an opportunity just to kind of help relieve some of that burden. It's a 24-hour shelter, and I mean, whenever you come in, you'll go through the check-in process, and I mean, you're here. I mean, whatever you need that we could help you with, we'll do it.
Again, the shelter here at Calvary Baptist Church is open 24 hours. If you need a place to sleep, if you need something to eat, you can come at any time throughout the day, and they are here to help. In Little Rock, McKaylin Johnson, THV 11 News.
All right, McKaylin, thank you. We will be checking in on those shelters throughout the day today. And again, the presser we are expecting very shortly.
Yes, from Governor Sanders. If you're just joining us now, we've been closely following the recovery efforts this morning as the sun began to rise and people are seeing, it dawns on them what damage has happened in the state of Arkansas from Garland County all the way up through Jacksonville and beyond.
Now, we actually want to give you a live shot. This is at Fire Station 9, where we are awaiting Governor Sanders to speak any minute. Again, that press conference scheduled to begin at 10 o'clock, running a few minutes behind. But we understand the governor will take a little bit of a tour of the damage, speak, of course, with those firefighters, those officials here in Little Rock, and then she will address the media as soon as she finishes that tour. In fact, I can see our photographer, Steve Payne, right there
Yes.
entering the live shot, putting his
Steve.
microphone and getting ready. And you want to talk about history in Arkansas. Steve Payne, that gentleman in the center of your screen, has
He can tell some stories.
he has seen about as many of tornado damage reports as you can imagine. He is a history book walking right
He
there.
sure
And
is.
so
We understand that Governor Sanders has just arrived at Fire
There we go.
Station 9. She is expected to tour the area briefly before making remarks to the public. Remember, this is Governor Sanders' first major weather event in Arkansas as our governor. So while she is not new to disasters, having been in the White House under former President Trump, she is now leading the state of Arkansas, has declared a state of emergency, called for resources from the National Guard, and is now going to address everyone about what is next, where we are. And I'm very curious to see, as you are too, Hayden, I'm sure, what she will say as an Arkansan herself,
well, and I'm
the
just
daughter of a former governor.
I'm just curious too. Again, you mentioned too her father, obviously former governor. How many times she may have been alongside her father
Sure,
dealing with
yes,
something like this,
yes.
going to an area that was devastated by a tornado. Again, this is not her first time
Right.
being in a situation like this. Again, she is an Arkansan and is getting an example of what exactly, which maybe 48 hours ago, I don't think she thought could be possible. I thought could be possible is such extensive tornado damage in the city limits of Little Rock,
Yes,
which is
and
quite
beyond.
something to see.
Cabot, for example, Jacksonville, we've been in cities where you sort of feel a little immune when you think, oh,
Maybe
there's
so, yeah.
valleys, and then it doesn't happen here, but it does, folks, and you're seeing it real right now. Photogs are out from our station and other folks. You can see the fire station had some damage that it sustained there, and the governor is starting here where she will make public comments, and then we understand she is to tour some other hard-hit areas of Arkansas today, having declared that state of emergency, which frees up resources and money from the federal government to help out. Pulaski County actually as well, and Little Rock have their own emergency declarations as well. So resources are out there, they're coming, we're waiting for her to approach the podium. There's old Steve telling another
Steve
story.
Payne right there
He's
too. And in case
collecting.
you're just joining us this morning, this is Fire Station 9 here in the city of Little Rock. It's off of Shackelford, and you can see the extensive damage too. Our first responders are not immune to these storms either. They
Excellent point.
are at home, they are at work, and then you see what they have to go through. They take shelter, and as soon as available, they get out to help folks. And again, they have been amazing so far
Yes.
during this process, and we are going to hear words from the governor momentarily as we get ready for the governor after she takes a tour of the damage to Fire Station 9 here in Little Rock. We will be hearing from the governor very shortly.
One fire station among so many structures, homes lost, subdivisions that you've seen if you've been with us this morning that are either flattened or in a state of such disrepair that it's really better to just raise them.
Right.
So think of the amount of dollars. We're talking at least millions, if not maybe billions, it lost in cities across the swath of that path of the tornado.
And if I could just say for a second too, I think it's important to remember we all are Arkansans. We all call
Yes,
this place home
yes.
too. And although political differences can happen, you see Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, a Republican,
Sure.
greeting Mayor Frank Scott Jr., a
Yes.
well-known Democrat, with just a nice pat on the back saying, we're a team, we're in this together. You put politics aside, you put the people first. That's something I think a lot of people in that shot that they just saw really like to see.
You
that
bet
was a
they
nice
do.
moment.
And why
That's a nice
wouldn't they?
moment.
That says you're first,
Right.
not
Put it all aside,
our
put the people
divisions.
first. Let's
Yes.
get this taken care of.
And Arkansans are that way, as you know. This is a state where people do come together. It's a smaller state, so we know what it's like to be a rural state. And so damage done to, let's say, Jacksonville or
Right.
West Little Rock is still felt in other places like Mena, Arkadelphia, or Jonesboro, because they know what it feels like.
We're all
too.
thinking of someone.
Yes,
We're all
we're
thinking of
speaking
someone.
of a memory of a tornado in our place or in our area, or a tragedy of some kind.
My text messages were full yesterday. I know yours were too.
Yes, and mine were from out of the state because Arkansas was making national news
Right.
yesterday as part of this storm system.
I kid you not, if I could, as we wait on the governor, to a story of folks who've watched THV 11 for a while now. You may remember we had an anchor by the name of Phil Buck. He was our weekend anchor. We became very good friends, and a reporter by the name of Dan Grossman. Well, Dan Grossman now lives in Denver, Colorado,
Okay.
and Phil Buck lives in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
And within 2 minutes of, from probably 2:33 at 2:35, I had multiple text messages from Dan Grossman in Denver, Colorado,
Wow.
and Phil Buck in Tampa, Florida, asking, is Little Rock okay?
Okay.
Are you okay? And not just me, which they were checking on me, they were checking on my family.
Sure.
Little Rock had such an imprint, and Arkansas had such an imprint on who they became. Even when they left, their eyes were glued, making sure that Little Rock, North Little Rock, Jacksonville, Wynne, Arkansas was
Yes,
okay.
Maybe that's what it is about this state. The kind of people who come here, even if they are not from here, they come, they live a while, they leave. But the impact of having been in
Yes.
such an environment with people like you who do care when it matters and pitch in to help, even if you don't have to or you
Right.
don't feel like it. This is a place where these communities, while they are devastated, they will bounce back because that's the type of people we are, and they will get that help that's needed.
Right. And we're going to continue to learn more about the effect of these storms too. In fact,
True.
we have new video. This is brand new video of Shackelford Road from those devastating storms that we had yesterday. And of course, you are getting your first look at this. We are getting our first look at this, and it is just unreal. It's unreal.
It's so surreal to see homes that you see in movies or on television, national news, of this happening in California or somewhere else. But to see that and know that road, isn't that
That's your home.
strange? It's just, it shouldn't have happened. The nice thing, though, is our technology is so advanced that our meteorologists were able to prepare the people who were in these homes to get to shelter, to get their precious ones together and shelter, and hopefully we don't want that death toll to rise any further. And 4 and 1, North Little Rock and Wynne, that's too many, of course.
We hope that number does not go up, of
Right,
course. We hope
right.
it stays at 5. And 5 is too many. You never want to hear of any fatalities after these storms, too. And especially for people here in Little Rock and that go down Shackelford and University
Yes.
and Cantrell and all these popular roads, too. I think it is a nice time to remind folks that this will take some time. We are not going to
Yes.
have our normal day-to-day operation as we go from Midtown Little Rock to West Little Rock, even commuting from downtown Little Rock. I think patience and I think grace is going to be really needed as we continue to move forward after these devastating storms and let these first responders and these crews and people who work at the Department of Transportation and Emergency Management and everyone who is going to be working so hard after this really unprecedented storm that hit, again, a very densely populated area. I think it's a
That's
reminder.
well put. Very well
we
put,
have
Hayden.
not gone through something like this in a
Nor
long
do we
time, if ever.
recover
Yes.
immediately. We are used to and accustomed to having, our cell phones and things fixed immediately and this and
Right.
that, but you are talking about major reconstruction, structural damages. You can imagine the insurance coverage that will happen. The governor is coming out to approach the public. We understand this is going to be from fire station number 9. We will see her approach the podium. Our camera operator is there. Steve Payne is our photog.
You can see Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott Jr. there as well. I believe he's in that hat. I'm sure
Yes,
he will
there
say
he
a few
is.
words, as well as Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who will be making her way to the podium in just a few minutes, and just offer, I'm sure, a sense of comfort, just a sense
sense of comfort,
we've got
yeah.
your back after a really tough day.
A tough afternoon just afternoon on a Friday, and then it suddenly happens. And you pointed out too, a good point, is this is a governor whose father was a governor. So she probably has grown up accustomed to the reassurance he was giving to the people of Arkansas when this disaster happened or that storm happened. So it will be her first time addressing Arkansans as our governor following a tragedy of this magnitude. And it will be therefore interesting to see, as a former press secretary,
Sure.
how she delivers a message to the people as the leader of the entire state.
Again, the governor scheduled to address the media very shortly, first taking a tour of Station 9 here in Little Rock as the conversation continues into Saturday. And what's so amazing, and Corrales touched on this and you touched on this as well, is I think 24 hours ago, we had a pit in our stomach. We were
Yes,
awaiting these storms to
scared.
roll through, and
Yeah.
then you go through the afternoon and you see the damage and the destruction and you feel it. And now you just see a beautiful Saturday morning. And in fact, our meteorologist, Scott Covert, is there waiting on the governor's press conference. Scott, we were just talking about just what a contrast 24 hours can be. It's just beautiful out there, and we're going to hear hopefully some words that'll inspire and get us ready to pick up and get things going.
Describe it for us, Scott.
Yeah, so it's certainly a devastating situation out here. There's quite a bit of destruction. Homes are destroyed. You see Little Rock Fire Department. This is Station 9 here off of Shackelford. It sustained some significant damage while those firefighters were in there. So just a few moments ago, Governor Sanders, flanked with First Gentleman Brian Sanders, as well as the Director of the Arkansas Division of Emergency Management, A.J. Gary, arrived on scene. They, accompanied with some local legislators, state reps, state senators, now touring the facility, as well as with Mayor Frank Scott Jr. They have been trickling out, so we do suspect Governor Sanders will be making her way to the podium with the mayor and other emergency management officials here in the next few moments. We talked with Representative Ashley Hudson. She represents West Little Rock in the State House. She was actually at Trio's restaurant at the time the tornado moved through that area. Trio's, apparently, according to her, sustaining a direct hit. And so she's obviously fine. She's here this afternoon, representing her constituents, getting as much help as possible. And we find several elected officials out here working alongside, hand in hand, step by step, with each other to get the most aid to parts of Little Rock that were hit the hardest. This area, if you're not familiar with it, it's a pretty thriving community right off of Shackelford. The Burgundy Hotel is not too far away. It looks like it missed a direct hit. You've also got Homer's Kitchen Table just up the road off of Shackelford as well. A lot of this area without power. I'm looking at homes that, while not totally destroyed, certainly took a significant amount of damage. Large trees in this area. As I looked over into the valley back off towards the southwest, the scar that this tornado left on the ground, certainly quite remarkable. So this literally was ground zero yesterday. Just now, a little more than 24 hours ago. If you're just joining us, Governor Sanders just arrived on scene. She is currently inside what's left of Little Rock Fire Department Station 9. It was a newer fire station, pretty high quality building material being used, and it certainly sustained a serious amount of damage. We saw drone footage yesterday right after the tornado struck of this exact area, and the Little Rock Fire Department, in a very heroic effort, was still here responding to their literal and figural neighbors that were in need. So they've certainly had a long evening. Just when we arrived on scene here at the fire department, I saw several firefighters carrying out the personal belongings that they have. So with a full-time fire department such as what we see in Little Rock, these firefighters live in these fire stations, and so they had personal belongings in here that they're just now getting a chance to actually sort through and figure out what's going on, because they were responding all night last night. Some things we're hoping to learn more about here at this press conference with the governor, the mayor, and emergency officials are things such as how can folks at home who are wanting to help, how can they contribute, how can they volunteer. That's something we've been hearing a lot of from viewers at home on how they can participate in recovery. We're also hoping to learn about what resources and aid that both the state and the federal government will be providing to those in the disaster area here off of Shackelford in West Little Rock. As we await the governor, I guess I'll bring back Karen and Hayden for any questions that you two may have.
We see the flags at half-staff behind you, and we do know now, I don't know if you've been able to learn this as well, that there have been 2 more deaths in Wynn. So now the total is 5, 1 in North Little Rock, 4 in Wynn. We of course hope the casualties remain where they are. We're also talking about, Hayden made a good point of how you see a Republican governor and then you see a Democratic mayor together, showing that this is for the greater good. This is not about politics. Do you, having had the experience you have had in your career, do you have a sense that this is really about going forward, and it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of money to rebuild?
I certainly do get that sense out here this morning. I spoke with Representative Tippy McCullough. She's the House Democratic Minority Leader, but she's walking in lockstep with State Senator from West Little Rock, a Republican, and they're working together to better their constituents and provide resources to them. Of course, as Hayden pointed out, the mayor, the governor, certainly all on the same page here this morning, which is what it's going to take for a recovery going forward.
Any word yet on when there might be an assessment of damage or an assessment of what type of tornado came through?
I would be willing to bet we have a preliminary rating from the National Weather Service at some point by this afternoon, if not sooner. I know they've got both teams, one team deployed to Hot Springs, which is where we had our first report of damage outside of Hot Springs and parts of Garland County. A secondary team starting closer into the metro, following the path of that tornado. And it's going to take some time to get an official rating, but given the damage that I have observed, and I know that the resources that the Weather Service is going to deploy for these surveys, they'll be able to give us at least a preliminary EF2 or EF3 or whatever else they determine it to be, likely at some point this afternoon.
Scott, we've been here in the studio since about 5 o'clock this morning. I know I saw you. You went out to I-430. You were near Rodney Perrin. You've been able to drive around a little bit. You've seen the impact of this damage. Have you talked to anybody? I mean, how are folks doing? How are they out there? I know it's a Saturday morning in which they would just wish they could enjoy their Saturday, but the simple fact is they can't. They've got to think about cleaning up and restarting in a lot of areas and ways. Just what does it look like, and have you talked to anybody, and how are they doing?
Yeah, a lot of folks are overwhelmed. This is one of those things that you just never expect to happen in Little Rock. And even as a meteorologist, it's one of those things you prepare for and you train for and you study for, but you don't anticipate actually happening. And I'm told that Governor Sanders may be making her way to the podium now, so we'll turn it over to her.
All right, buddy.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you so much. Let's turn it over now to the governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Again, Fire Station 9 in Little Rock. She is making her way to the podium. Again, has been touring this state. suffered damage in that storm yesterday, and you can see the governor making her way. As we get ready to hear comments and, of course, just a little bit of comfort, a little bit of conversation, and just
nice for folks,
absolutely have that just next level of hearing from, hearing from the governor and understanding that we're all in this together. And though it will be a long recovery process, we're going to make it. It's going to get back, and the city of Little Rock will be just fine.
You are so right, Hayden. But it is such a surreal realization to be aware that it can happen in Little Rock. That false sense of security, maybe other folks don't have it, but some people understand what we mean when you say it doesn't generally happen here. It certainly doesn't happen in West Little Rock. It doesn't happen in downtown, and yet it does. It can now. So now we know. And
this will be a reminder too. And as Scott just mentioned as well, driving around that area of the town and of the city too, just folks are overwhelmed. You know, you didn't think you would be doing this on a beautiful Saturday, April 1st. In 2023, and now you've got to deal with this. And so I think just some words of encouragement would be great. Just a sign that says everyone that can and will have your back. And now as we see Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders making her way and walking up to the podium, she will address the media, and you will hear her comments very shortly. Here is the Governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
You're taller than me. I stand on my tiptoes. I'm okay. Yeah, I was just teasing. Good morning. As you all know, and we spoke with a lot of you last night, Little Rock obviously suffered serious damage over the course of the last 24 hours. And I'm unbelievably thankful for the incredible partnership that we have with both the mayor and members of our legislature from around this area. This group represents all of Central Arkansas and Little Rock, this area that was hit so hard, and very thankful for their willingness and the cooperation that we've had. Certainly, the fire station that is behind us has suffered just an unbelievable amount of damage, but I think the real story here isn't the damage that happened, but it's the heroes that were born out of the tragedy. And the fact that we have firefighters who, despite the fact that they had a tornado literally coming through their station, were worried about the community. That tells you who they are, and it tells you, I think, a lot about our state. And I'm so thankful and so proud of the heroic efforts of the firemen that are located here at this station, who, as the tornado came through, worked to protect and bring members of the community into a safe space. And as soon as it passed, immediately went to work caring for our community. That tells you who Little Rock is, that tells you who Arkansas is, and it's why I know and have every confidence that we will be back on our feet better and stronger than we ever have in quick fashion. I've had the opportunity over the last couple of hours to speak with both the Homeland Security Secretary as well as President Biden, who have offered a tremendous amount of support. Anything that Arkansas needs, they have assured us that those resources will be here and on the ground, and we really appreciate their willingness to help Arkansas out from a city, a county, a state, and a federal perspective. I would say that everyone is working in total lockstep, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure the people of our state are back on their feet again. Mayor, would you like to say anything real quick?
Thank you, Governor Sanders. Again, what you see here today is the seamless communication across state, federal, and local, all working on one accord in our response and recovery for Little Rock, Central Arkansas, and of course the entire state. We continue to ask that everyone remain prayerful. We know faith without works is dead, and so there's going to be a lot of working going on between now and then, and we ask that everyone be patient as we're working to respond as quickly as possible to all the needs as we move forward together. Again, we're grateful for the federal government. Also was able to visit with Mr. President Biden, and he's assured Little Rock will have all the resources needed in addition to, of course, the entire state of Arkansas, as he's been directly communicating with Governor Sanders. And do appreciate everyone. And clearly, when you see all of our Little Rock legislators here today with us, it shows the unity that we have as a state's capital city, but the unity of our entire state, as we know we work together on one accord for the best of all Arkansans.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions? We'll take a couple questions if you have them.
What's the latest on number of fatalities around the state, injuries, and extent of damage?
Right now we are have 5 confirmed fatalities. We have a couple of others that have been reported, but we do not have confirmation from local law enforcement on the ground, and so awaiting that. But right now, statewide, we have 5 confirmed fatalities.
You have a lot of people watching, wondering what they can do. How can people get involved, whether it's donations of services or goods?
There are a couple of organizations that we know of that are already on the ground and operational. The Red Cross here in Arkansas, as well as Samaritan's Purse, but also reaching out to your local county emergency management team is one of the best ways to help and get plugged into the needs that are very specific to your area. I'll let the mayor speak about the specific things that they have set up here in Little Rock, but from a statewide perspective, those are some of the best ways. You can also go to the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management website and donate directly and specify where you want that money to go to help a specific community, and you can do that for statewide. But Mayor Scott, if you want to.
From a Little Rock perspective, shortly after this press conference, we will share a live link for Little Rock Cares for any type of donations, for financial donations as it relates to supplies that are needed. We're going to be asking everyone to direct those supplies, and again, we'll have some order about what kind of supplies we need to be directed to 7000 Murray Drive, which is the Little Rock Fire Department Training Center. That's also our Emergency Operations Center. And so we'll give you some very strict directions, because we don't want to be flooded with too many things that we may not need, but also want to harness the servant's mindset of all Little Rock residents who want to help. Just please wait on us as we share the information again via social media and press release within the next hour or two. That'll go live, and we'll share that information.
Mayor, do you have a sense of just kind of ballpark figure how many homes destroyed, businesses, and kind of the timeline for rebuilding in Little Rock?
Sure. The men and women of Little Rock Police Department, as well as our fire department, we've recently shared the pathway of the tornado. What we deem to be at least 2,100 residents within the western portions of Little Rock and southwestern portion of Little Rock were impacted. We know from Energy Arkansas, 27 to 30,000 homes are without power. And so that lets you know, again, it's by the grace of God, no one's been impacted with fatality. However, we do know, as you see around here, many folks have been displaced and looking for a shelter. We're working towards that again. If someone's in need of shelter, we're asking you to go to Hall High School. We can get you that address later. Please go there as we're working towards that. Next question.
What's the on injuries right now? Do you have a sense of how many injuries statewide? And I know you had said last night that you don't expect the healthcare system to be overwhelmed. Is that still the case?
As of right now, that's still the case. Like I stated last night, we have mobile healthcare units on the ground, as well as National Guard members assisting in WIN. Little Rock is still not at capacity at any of our hospitals, and we expect it to maintain under control here in Central Arkansas, and the resources that were needed in Eastern Arkansas have been provided. Certainly still expect a number of injuries to come up over the course of the next 24 hours, but feel like we're in a good place to handle the capacity that there is right now. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So there you go. You've just heard from the governor of Arkansas, Sanders, as well as Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott Jr., both speaking that they both have spoken with President Joe Biden, and he has promised federal resources for not only the city of Little Rock, but the state of Arkansas as well.
And as you know, we've told you before, as of this morning now, the governor has declared this a state of emergency in Arkansas, which brings resources along with it. But the mayor and governor now confirming that soon there will be a live online resource available for people to go to find out things like, how do I volunteer, or where do I go for such help, or any information you may wish to know. I believe the mayor, Hayden, said it would be up live within the next 2 to 3 hours.
Yes, and we are getting ready to head back to Scott Covert this morning, who is live with Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott Jr. Scott, I want to send it to you and the mayor.
Curious, from your perspective, what do you think the single most need is right now for those impacted here in Little Rock?
I think right now we're all focused on getting power back to the residents. So Any displacement is short-lived. We applaud the men and women of Energy Arkansas and all that they're doing. As you know, it's somewhere around 30,000 residents without power. We ask anyone who does not have shelter to please go to Hall High, and we'll work with you there from that period of time.
Mayor, you spoke with President Biden this morning. Can you tell us more about that conversation?
He wanted to reassure Little Rock that the U.S. government was fully behind Arkansas State Capital City, of course, the entire state, that whatever resources that we may need, that we would have it, and that it would go all stop to ensure that we're successful in this recovery.
Are you aware of any specific resources that either the city has made to the federal government?
As of right now, we're working with FEMA to ensure that whatever we needed to be reimbursed for, we'll get reimbursement. Right now, we're not focused on the bureaucracy, we're just focused on the recovery.
Can you describe yesterday from your perspective as you watched this track through your beloved city?
It is unbelievable, and again, by the grace of God, no one died. Clearly, it's devastating to see the impact across the entire city and what was able to happen in a matter of minutes. We're mission focused on recovery and rebuilding as a city because we are Little Rock strong.
Do you have any update on injuries in the city of Little Rock?
No injuries at this point in time that we're aware of. Clearly, we know that there were about 24 to 30 individuals that went to the hospital. Again, grace of God that we haven't had mass impact.
Mayor, thanks so much, and our thoughts with you in the coming days.
Thank you. Pray for us.
Yeah. So there you've heard from Little Rock Mayor Frank Scott Jr., who just spoke alongside the governor about their coordinated response efforts here. The coordination extends from the local county level all the way up to the highest of heights of the federal government, with President Biden placing phone calls to both of those leaders here this morning. And so certainly a fluid situation here in West Little Rock. Now that the governor likely departing, her staff remains, legislators remain touring the damage and recovery. That continues. I'm seeing several volunteer groups. New Life Church has some folks here as well. They're going door to door, assisting just with whatever they can, which is often just manpower, picking up some limbs, some trees, debris, sorting through belongings, salvaging what can be salvaged.
Sometimes just a hug.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you heard it from the mayor himself. By the grace of God, nobody died in the city of Little Rock last night.
Incredible. Scott, while we have you there, as they finish up, is the governor now going to other places that have been hit hard by this tornado?
She did not discuss her travel plans for today. I would suspect she will be making a visit at some point to the other hard impacted areas, not just in central Arkansas, but of course in eastern parts of the state as well. Of course, when Arkansas took a pretty tough hit. I got to tell you, it's somewhat tough to hear out here. There's numerous choppers flying around that I believe are a part of the damage survey efforts that are ongoing.
Scott Covert, you have not only been with us this morning, you were with us yesterday morning, you were with us all day yesterday. Thank you so much, buddy. We love you, we appreciate you. And again, I can't thank you enough.
You saved lives, you guys.
This is home.
And we appreciate it, Scott. You and the weather team, phenomenal job of warning people and saving people.
Well, Corrales, I want to send it over to you now and what we're hoping and excited for, a peaceful and calm Saturday.
Yeah, it's definitely much needed. It's like the calm after the storm. It gives us a few days to kind of gather our senses of just really what's been going on. So looking at your weekend outlook, we're going to see quiet weather persist into your Saturday and Sunday. And we do have the chance for some showers Sunday night. But unfortunately, this risk for severe weather still in place for Tuesday and Wednesday. Already seeing an elevated risk this far out in the forecast outlook for parts of the state once again from the Storm Prediction Center. So this is what we're seeing in terms of the rain chances, mainly Tuesday and into Wednesday as our next storm system pushes a cold front. The timing and the specifics of this still not set in stone, but as of right now, this could be happening throughout Tuesday afternoon and evening and into the overnight hours, wrapping up sometime Wednesday morning. So of course, stay with us here on THV 11 for the latest updates on that, just because we're going to be entering another active weather pattern, another active weather trend really for the season. Here's a look at that extended forecast. It's another warm up. We'll be seeing those highs around 80s, but yeah, bouts of some showers and storms in the picture. Not what we want to hear after already what we dealt with on yesterday. So just be weather aware.
Be weather aware.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a great reminder, a great reminder as always, and we want to thank you so much for watching our live extended coverage for the past nearly 5 hours now.
That's right. Our crews are out now gathering new video and witness accounts. They'll be doing that all day long for you, and we'll have much more tonight, fresh on the day after the storms on THV 11 News, because of the